Okay, I'll take a stab at a little video here, just to show you some different things I did to the bench today on my day off. First off, I made this little gadget here, which I had one once before, and somewhere it got misplaced. I had two of them actually, and I gave one to a disabled vet that wanted to work on radios, because it sure seemed to help him out a lot. He was quite happy with it. All it is a little bracket that allows you to mount a radio, switch it around. You can get it at the back of the board, you can get it at the front of the board, while the cables are all hooked up. It works really nice, especially when you're replacing displays and stuff in the front of a radio, replacing the frequency counter displays. I have some little brackets I use for that. When I remove the faceplate, I simply tilt it down, fasten the brackets to it, and that keeps it solid. Makes it easy to solder and unsolder all the boards in the back. So it's just a real handy little gadget, and I like it because I can take it, swing it around this way, and it will hold any of the radios. These little brackets, these little spacers here I made out of wood dowel. I just drilled a hole through the center of them and countersunk one in so it fit over the offset. You don't use those on the bigger chassis. You just use the some real thin ones, about half the thickness of this that I made for the Galaxy class radios and so forth. And of course, they don't work on the big amp board radios because you can't manipulate them on something like this. But those are not nearly as many. I work on, for every big amp board radio I probably work on 25 or 30 smaller chassis radios, so it's kind of nice. Next thing I did while I was here, I became irritated with this thing here, which is the MFJ dummy load, the 1500 watt dummy load. It has two scales on it. One's 300, one's 3000. I kept the 3000 watt scale for big amps, but I put I converted the 30 watts or the 300 watt scale to a 30 watt scale. And then I also put this in here. I don't know if you can hear it. This is a remote relay switch for the dummy load, because the MFJ 267 has a switch on the back for the dummy load. So I got tired of stopping what I was doing, running around the back of the unit and turning the dummy load on. So now I did it on a relay with 20 amp contacts. So it'll handle virtually anything I put through it. Makes it a lot easier when you're working on radios too. The whole thing about the working on radios is like this gadget down here is handy. It's just something I took an old, I'm sure most of you will remember this if you're my age, the old serial port switch that lets you switch between two printers, that kind of thing. But I converted it to be able to turn on and off a radio while I'm working on the bench, and this will handle any size radio I work on. So it's really nice. The LEDs in there to let you know that the radio is fired up. The thing I like about it is when I'm working on Galaxy class radios, especially in the regulator area, you have to unplug your power or turn off the power supply. It's much better to do this than to keep turning the power supply on and off. So that's why I have that. Plus, I made it where the microphone goes through there. I also made this BNC port here where I can put the Field Tech right in there, and I can inject any kind of signal in there I want. This one here will force it to transmit. As you can see, it was feeding back into the radio, and we'll put that down. So after that, I got my big scope back online again because I really like the analog scopes. And I'm just glad I didn't get rid of this baby because I like it. I'm going to hook it up to my bench radio and give some power to the thing here. Fire it up. Hello, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's just a little Cobra 29 on there now. With that down, then I also made some changes to my bench concerning the SYNAD software, which actually it's a whole lot more than just SYNAD. It's a really full function. It does many things. I originally just got it because I wanted SYNAD capabilities. Everybody talks about SYNAD and I thought, well, you know what, I better step up to the plate and make sure I have it. I had all that equipment several times over and got rid of it, and now I have that, which is actually, I think, a little bit nicer setup. Anyway, that's the extent of my video for today. Just thought I'd show you. You might find something you think you might like for your bench, and you'll put it together and get it going. So catch y'all later.